Hello and welcome back to Songs of Six, to Fiendopolis. Here we are, episode 9. I'm gonna do this as an episode kind of recapping the city and showing you guys what I have, and then there will be a final episode after this, episode 10, kind of going over my feelings on V.66 as a whole, and showing you guys the final build of the city that I've got. I haven't finished it, obviously. I have a lot of work to do. And it may take longer than episode 10, but regardless, here we are. We are at the main throne room here. It hasn't been expanded really, but I did build the building, which cost me a lot of grandstone, and we have plenty of more coming in. And I have these guys constantly delivering shipments of stone and cotton and all kinds of stuff. So what happens is they go straight here to the export depot and they drop it off. We don't have excess grain right now, but we have excess of everything else. So they go over here and they just start selling it off. Anything that we can't store, it gets sold and it just gets placed in here. So that's that area here. We have our asylums. The asylums in the city, we have I think 14. There's 5 of them here, and then 2 more. That's 7. I can't do the math, but if you could do the math, I think it's like 98 crazy people or something like that. Yeah, look at that speed math. Yeah, so there's a lot of crazy people in my city. They're constantly being taken care of. We need more rations. I don't have the ration maker. That's something that I actually haven't built again because I have just been focused on expanding the city. I'd like to round off this back end here and give some depth to it. Maybe put a couple more military buildings and a few more of these types of buildings like universities, stuff like that. And then close off the back here. We've got the back closed up with the walls. I have our giant temple of authority. This temple services a lot of people, and I was planning to put the other temple of authority right here. So I have to move this stockade. I think a really good spot probably for the stockade could be here. Anywhere, honestly. I just need to find some place for this stockade to go. And I will move him in the next one. I'm going to keep moving over to the left, kind of going the way that I started. We have our court. Fight pits. We have enough fight pits where our services are above 20, which is insane. I never have that in most of my cities. We have our tavern. We have a little jail cell dungeon right next to the fight pit, as well as a scaffold, so that they can just take them out of the dungeon, execute them, or put them in the fight pit. And we also have some stocks out front as well, so they can get stocked. We have some stages, benches, and the shrines to authority. So these are all really tightly knit service areas. And then we have a barber over here. Big old barber. Plenty of spaces, but not enough services still. We need a couple more barbers throughout the city. We have this giant ass lavatory. Ideally, I think you need your barbers to kind of match the lavatory. So if you have 2 lavatories like this, you need or 2 lavatories like this, you're gonna need 2 barbers about the same size for the population that you have. And then we have speakers just everywhere. There's 2, 3 here, and I have them tucked all over the walls. And then our housing, tons and tons of housing, and babies being made. And our pump zone, forgot to show the pump zone. Pump zone keeps the baths occupied over here so that we can actually have water in them. You see, we still don't even have enough for this little bit here, but that's okay because the whole bath has access to operational water or fresh water. So this is the knowledge side. This is basically where everyone is learning and using their brains. These are the libraries, and this one has 10 guys. This one has maxed out 126, and they're both upgraded. So they have, I think, gems or jewelry and cut stone. I can't remember, but they are upgraded. So they're giving us a max boost. Then we also have the admin building here, and we have another one here, so that in case we need more admin points, we can allocate more workers. We have our 2 laboratories, which obviously we can put more workers in the laboratory here as well, because we have 252 here and only 34 here. So the idea is that I can expand these buildings at any time. And then I have my refinement zone here. These buildings are all the refinement buildings that I need. We have the weaver, the metal smelter, the brewer, and then the baker. And then, speaking of which, I could actually technically upgrade this eventually. I have never upgraded the brewer to the max upgrade. That would be something to actually try to do. We have our primary service zone. This I would call the exterior kind of market zone for people to enjoy when they enter the city, and all the people who are working, our vast majority of our people are going to be living and working in this area, so they have their services here. Access to lavatories, they have stages, fight pits, bunch of hearths, tons and tons of hearths, as well as wells. Speaking of which, these should be upgraded. I didn't realize they were not upgraded. And we have tons of access to wells, benches, and then each one of these areas has a speaker in front of it, so they have access to information and education. Wells and hearths in front of all their workplaces so that they can access those quickly after work. And then we have their food stall and their market on the other side with tavern, restaurant, and all the other services kind of tucked in a warehouse to supply them. Housing. Up here, we have the hospital and physician, and then a janitor on either block so that they can keep these guys up to date. You always want to have lots of janitors in your town. I also have, I forgot to mention, a ton of guards. Tons and tons of guards. There's 4 different large guard posts on either corner of this lavatories to keep our law in check, and we still are really only at 79%. I probably need more guards like tucked in over here. I'll have to remove some stuff off the walls or put... Actually, can I put a guard post? Oh, Nelly, you could put guard posts on top of these things? Oh, well, that does it. We're gonna put them on top of there then. They're gonna patrol the guard walls there. Awesome. I love that. So yeah, we have those guys. And then this side of the town is the military part of the town. So we have the warehouse for all of our spare excess gear. Anything that the guys making it, these are the buildings that are making it. You can see they have unavailable leather. Excuse me, sir. We'll have to deal with that later. But we have access to all of these buildings here that are smaller than the other buildings, but they still produce a decent amount. You can see we still have 2,000 of each, because the idea is you're not using these things. You don't need to have 10,000, 20,000. You only need to have enough for your people to be equipped once at least. Later on down the line, probably you want to have tens of thousands of them, but I haven't had the need for that much armor ever. At least not my understanding. And by the way, this city is by no means the best, greatest city of all time. There are definitely far greater cities. I just can't get to that point. My fiend brain doesn't work too well when it gets to that big. We have our crafting zone. We have the tailor, the mason, paper maker, and a carpenter. So these are the crafter buildings that I deem the biggest and the bestest. We need most space for them. And I have tons and tons of clothing. Holy crap, I didn't even realize I had that much clothing sitting here. So we're doing really well on clothes, and we have tons of fabric, usually on the other side of town. And these guys are making weapons and armor. We have our archery range, as well as our 2 training grounds. I have guys set to training at 70, so only 70 people are training at a time in melee training. Keeps my population from just constantly being gone, dying, and then having to train again. Half our troops are probably trained to the point they need to be at, but we have a lot of them, so that's quite alright. We also have the biggest baby maker you probably have ever seen. We have a giant human nursery here where we've got 60 wet nurses. These guys are making 198 babies, or 197 children and 1 baby technically in this situation. But we have over 432 children in our town. At any given time, there's at least 390. Plus the school here, which services 98 babies or children. So when they're free, they can come in here. Ideally, I'll probably will put like 2 or 3 more of those over here, because now that I know it's like about 300, I think that's a good number of children to have on average, because when they grow up, they hit your population like a freaking hurricane, and you have to deal with them like crazy. This is the housing zone, and this is all available to be upgraded. I can upgrade these at any point. So this is the housing zone for the military and the nursery zone, as well as all of their services in between, and a giant old tavern for them. And other than that, I think that's about it. Yep. And then we have our import intake zone here. We've got the giantest warehouses possible for all of the different resources. These are the raw foods, as well as baked goods like bread. And then we have our warehouse for raw resources, everything from stone and wood to cotton and ores. And then we have our refined goods here, which has nothing in it. Makes sense, because nobody is over here to store goods, and we don't need to store goods over here, because this building was only used to keep our stuff from rotting when I moved it over, because all of our stuff was out here just in the middle of nowhere. But the idea is I like to I cornered all my buildings to the side of the map, and then I was able to build the way I wanted to. I was able to build this big old square city. And a lot of people don't like the grid city designs. I personally like human grid cities. That's just how I build. I don't like the organic circle-shaped cities. As much as I like to try to make them, I'm not very interested in doing them, because a lot of the time you find that you're just like, oh fuck, you don't even know where to go, and you're just, it doesn't feel as organic because there's no terrain in the game. And if that makes sense, like a round shape is, people build based off of space, and if you need more and more space to fit 20,000 people in this, you really can't. If you looked at my Talapi city, I had about 1,200 people, and it was like this big. It was literally this big, and all of it was just pasture space, and there was no way I was going to be able to fit 1,400 Talapis in that city, like without 14,000 or just tons and tons of Talapis, because they at a certain point can't fit anymore, and there's not enough space for their jobs to fit. So circle buildings suck. That's how I see it. That's how I've always played the game. Regardless, I hope you guys enjoyed this little snippet into my city here. If you guys are interested in a new city, please let me know what race you'd like to see, and I'll be sure to try to cover that one the most. Whoever votes the most, if anyone does vote. I know that YouTube has been just destroying my views lately, or it could be because the ads. If people are disgruntled with the ads, please let me know as well, because I don't have ads as a premium viewer. I don't see them, so I do watch the videos back, but I don't know how many ads are technically visible in the video at any given time. But I think I do have access to change that, so I'll probably lower them. I don't do YouTube for the money, although it is helpful. I only do it for, I guess, the viewership. Not that I care if people view it or not, but I'm interested in giving people something fun to look at, something interesting to watch while they're doing something else, or just to give somebody a break from their day-to-day. And I hope you guys enjoy these videos for that reason. I hope you've had a good time for the last couple months or years you've been following me, especially Timmy Tum, the man, the legend himself, who's been subbed for a very long time to my channel. Thank you, my friend. You are a legend. I'll see you all in the next one. Goodbye.